I'm standing in a funeral home in eastern Massachusetts, looking at a flag-draped casket. It is flanked by 2 in military uniforms standing sentry. I find comfort in the knowledge that no fallen soldier is ever left unattended, from the battlefield, transport home, to the grave with taps. It's early 2000s, and I have 2 sons that are deployed to Iraq at the same time, and then one again to Afghanistan. When I attend the wakes and funerals of other mothers' children, it is heart-wrenching every time, but it is my duty to be present. I am a military mom, a Blue Star mother. This is why we join a neighborhood church, because if my family needs to bury a son, we will do it with people who know our names. That is my first coping mechanism. Be prepared. While we certainly have veterans in our family tree, I never expected these 2 sons to take that route. The oldest son ignored everyone's rules, but was loyal to his friends and his music. He was just looking for some direction after high school. The younger son had the smarts, but made foolish choices. He was looking for escape from teen temptation. When your son or daughter decides to join military service, you might as well raise your pledging hand too, because like it or not, you are part of that world now. Our family went into survival mode just like my soldiers, only we did it without proper training. For over 2 years, I tried to keep family life as normal as possible. Get up, get dressed, get people off to work and school, chores, errands, homework, dinner, bed, repeat. I wore waterproof mascara and learned how to cry without anybody noticing. When the doorbell rang, I stopped breathing, and I figured out how to see the front door from a side window, hoping never to greet 2 casualty officers. Usually a really easygoing, patient, and social person, I was barely functioning. With numb detachment or electrified fear, the voice in my head was screaming, "Who cares?" about everything beyond our military-saturated bubble. Friends tell me I had no light in me unless I was doing something in support of my soldiers, but I don't really remember those years. I have pictures to prove they happened and that I was there. Call it amnesia, PTSD. I call it lost in the dark. How do I survive 2 sons away at war? Well, I learned how to instant message, and then I sit up all night long, staring at the screen on the computer, just waiting to see if one of them signs on, and then I know, at that moment, he's alive. I make a scrapbook full of pictures of my soldier sons with their other siblings, proof that they knew each other, just in case somebody doesn't make it home. I fill care packages for my soldiers, their battle buddies, their team leaders, and the 2 or 3 soldiers who never get mail. One day, I've somehow dragged in 9 or 10 boxes into the local post office, and I'm standing at the counter, filling out and affixing my labels when my tape runs out. Well, I am so overwhelmed and emotionally raw that I totally lose it. I am crying, dropping supplies, knocking over boxes until I have to unapologetically walk over to the customer service window and interrupt for some help. Well, I have been here so often that they come right out with one of those like industrial-sized tape dispensers and proceed to wrap up the remaining boxes for shipping. And he pulls me together too. On Sundays, I go to church to pray for my son's safety at the very risk of missing their phone calls. The younger one never does, but the older one leaves messages. He'll wish us a happy whatever the next holiday is because he only has a small window every once or twice a month. He uses phrases like, "Everything's cool, I'm good." And I know that in no way in Iraq is that true. He needs to believe it, and I desperately want to. And then it's Mother's Day, and the older one doesn't call, but the younger one catches me at home. I am so overjoyed at the sweetness of this connection until he tells me how it almost didn't happen. The story goes that he was in the water trailer taking a shower, and he heard incoming mortars. He jumped into his boots, grabbed his clothes, his firearm, and ran like hell for safety when he heard the shell hit. Well, it was close enough that as he looked back over his shoulder, he could see that shower trailer toppled over and in shambles. His story is punctuated with quite a few swear words and delivered with breathless excitement and a lot of nervous laughter. I am so grateful he cannot see the look of horror on my face. But I know that he is still processing that near miss, so I say, did you rinse off all your soap? Not the Mother's Day gift I ever wanted, but one I will never forget. The months march on with more missed calls and fearful tears, and then thankfully the deployment ends. From a sea of returning soldiers, I find mine. I send the children ahead with welcome home hugs. My husband greets them with a handshake and a shoulder squeeze. I myself cannot get too close because I know I will collapse with relief. Upon coming home, my younger son needs to sit with his back against the wall so he can have full view of his surroundings just to feel safe. My older son shares stories in the dead of the night he will never repeat again. They bring home a bond more than brothers. While I don't really remember much about those 2 years, I do remember how we survived and how we all changed. And with my boys home, I know what it feels like to be whole again. Thank you.